Okay, let's be honest here. For many of you learning English, there's this very real feeling of, well, fear when it comes to actually speaking. That little voice gets loud, palms get sweaty, we get it.
Oh, absolutely. And it's incredibly common. It really doesn't matter if you just know a few phrases or if you can read like whole novels in English. That hesitation before you speak, so many learners feel that.
Right.
So in our sources today, we've really focused on digging into the why. Why does this happen? And maybe more importantly, uncovering some practical, sort of no-nonsense strategies to help you speak more confidently.
Yeah.
Our goal here is really to give you a clear picture of what's going on inside and, some concrete things you can actually start doing today.
Exactly. Because just knowing the feeling exists isn't quite enough, is it? We want to understand what's feeding it so we can then take real steps to maybe turn down the volume on that fear. So let's dive in. What are the core reasons? Why is speaking English so scary for so many people?
Well, okay. A really significant factor that pops up again and again in the material is the fear of making mistakes.
Yeah.
Think about it, right? You're putting yourself out there, and there's this worry about getting the grammar wrong or mispronouncing something.
And someone judging you.
Exactly. Even if that judgment is just happening in your own head, it can feel like a really high-stakes situation.
That makes total sense. It's like there's a spotlight suddenly on you. And I think that fear, it often gets amplified by negative past experiences, doesn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Maybe you were corrected like really sharply in a class once.
Yeah, or someone laughed maybe.
Or you just felt really embarrassed trying to explain something. Those moments, they can really stick with you, can't they? Create almost like a mental block.
Precisely. And then, tied into that, we often run into perfectionism.
Right, the pressure to be perfect.
Yeah, this idea that you need to sound like a native speaker, like right away, which is just, it's an incredibly high bar to set.
It's totally unrealistic, yeah.
And when you feel like you're not meeting it, well, the tendency is often just to avoid speaking altogether. It's kind of a paradox, really.
It is, and it's so frustrating because sometimes, even when you do have a good grasp of English, that lack of confidence or low self-esteem just kicks in. You might actually know the grammar rules, you might have a decent vocabulary, but you still doubt your ability to, use it in a real conversation.
Like your knowledge and your confidence aren't quite connected.
Exactly.
But what's really interesting here, and quite reassuring, I think, is that these feelings, while they feel very real, maybe even overwhelming sometimes, they are incredibly common in language learning.
So it's not just you.
Not at all. Experiencing them doesn't mean you're bad at English or you're failing. It's just, it's a natural part of the process for many people. And importantly, as our sources really emphasize, this fear is something we can actively work to overcome.
Okay, so we've sort of identified some of the main roots here. The fear of mistakes, bad memories, perfectionism, that shaky confidence. Now, what's the fundamental shift? How do we start moving forward? The material we looked at really hammers home the power of mindset.
Absolutely. Shifting how you think about speaking English, that's key. And one really powerful idea, a concept that came up repeatedly is this. Perfect English isn't the goal. Courage is.
Ooh, I like that.
It might sound simple, but really internalizing that, letting it sink in, it can be truly transformative.
I don't need perfect English. I need courage.
Yeah, that completely reframes it, doesn't it?
It does.
It shifts the target. It's not about flawless grammar on day one.
No.
It's just about being willing to try, having the courage to open your mouth.
Exactly. Because, ultimately, English is a tool, right?
Yeah.
It's a means of connection, of sharing ideas, understanding other people. It doesn't have to be grammatically pristine or delivered with some perfect accent to actually achieve that core purpose. Yeah, think about it. Think about the last time you're listening to someone speak English, and maybe they had a really noticeable accent or they, made a small grammar mistake. Were you laser focused on the mistake? Or were you just trying to understand what they were trying to communicate?
Probably the latter, right?
I'd bet on it, yeah. You focus on the meaning.
Precisely. Communication is about getting the message across, being understood. So the shift we were really encouraging here is moving away from chasing this, unattainable, perfect English speaker ideal.
Which just causes stress anyway.
Right. And instead, focusing on becoming a brave communicator, someone who's willing to engage, even if it feels a little, uncomfortable at first.
A brave communicator. I really like that phrase. So aiming for bravery over flawlessness, that's a genuinely helpful reframe. Okay, let's get practical then. What are some concrete, actionable strategies we can use to actually build up that bravery and start to chip away at this fear.
Okay, yeah. Our sources offer several really effective techniques. One that seems almost too simple, but is surprisingly powerful, is just to speak a little bit every day.
Just a little bit.
Even a little bit. Consistency, even in a really small doses, it makes a huge difference over time.
And one of the sources gave that fantastic, really low-pressure example, didn't it? Just talking to yourself.
Yes.
As you go about your day, like describing what you're doing. I am cooking pasta. I will add salt. Now I'm chopping onions.
Exactly. It might feel a bit weird at first, maybe.
A little bit.
But it's such a safe way to just get your mouth moving, practice forming sentences
Hmm.
without any external pressure at all.
No judgment.
None. Another really valuable strategy is to record your voice regularly.
Ooh, okay. That one makes some people cringe, I think.
It does. I know many people initially find this idea a bit unsettling, but it gives you invaluable feedback, and it's a way to track your progress really objectively.
Yeah, I can see that. It might feel a bit odd hearing yourself at first, but the real win comes later, right? When you listen back to older recordings.
Mm-hmm. That's the magic.
You can actually hear the improvements you've made over time. And that must be incredibly motivating, a real confidence booster.
Absolutely. And building on that, the importance of finding supportive environments.
Yeah.
Well, you can't really overstate that. Joining safe and supportive communities is huge.
What's that look like?
Well, things like language exchange groups, maybe online classes that really focus on speaking practice, or even informal speaking clubs, places where mistakes are just expected, accepted as a normal part of learning.
Right, where everyone's kind of in the same boat.
Exactly. It creates a space where you feel comfortable taking those first steps without that constant fear of being judged. Knowing that other people get the challenges,
Yeah,
it just makes it so much easier to put yourself out there.
it lowers the stakes considerably. Okay, what else?
Another really practical technique highlighted was to utilize safe phrases.
Safe phrases, like,
Yeah, like pre-prepared sentences you could have ready to go. For those moments when you feel your nerves starting to bubble up.
like a little safety net.
Precisely. And the sources suggested some great examples like, sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Okay, simple.
Or, I'm still learning English, so please bear with me. Or even, can I try saying that again?
Right, things that buy you a second.
Exactly. They buy you a little time, they reduce the pressure in that moment, and they help keep the conversation flowing, even if you stumble.
That's really smart. Okay, so we've got daily practice, recording, finding communities, safe phrases. What about actually, talking to real people?
Yes, that's the next step. It's important to gradually practice with real people, but start small. Start with really low-stakes interactions.
Like what?
Oh, it could be as simple as ordering a coffee in English, or greeting a tourist on the street.
Yeah.
Maybe asking a very straightforward question in an online forum.
Things where not much can go wrong.
Exactly. Each successful little interaction, it builds up your confidence muscle, bit by bit.
It's like gradually increasing the weight you lift at the gym, isn't it?
That's a great analogy.
You start small, you build up strength. Every positive interaction, no matter how tiny, helps to sort of erode that fear a little bit more.
Perfectly put. Then there's the really powerful tool of positive self-talk.
The internal monologue.
Those conversations we have with ourselves, especially right before we have to speak, they can significantly impact our confidence levels.
So instead of that automatic negative stuff like, oh no, I'm going to mess this up, or I'll sound foolish, or I'll forget everything.
Right. Instead of those thoughts, we need to consciously, deliberately replace them with more encouraging affirmations. Like, okay, I can do this. Or, it's okay to make mistakes. That's actually how I learn. Or just, I'm getting better every single day.
It might sound a bit cliche maybe, but does it actually work?
It really can make a difference in how you approach the act of speaking. It's essentially about training your brain to be your supportive ally, instead of your harshest critic.
Training your brain. And the last strategy.
Finally, and this is crucial, celebrate even the smallest achievements. Really acknowledge them. Maybe even jot down your progress in a notebook or something.
What kind of progress?
Anything. Speaking English for just a few minutes that day. Successfully asking a question, understanding a new phrase you heard, Recognizing these small wins helps build momentum. It reinforces the positive behavior.
Because those small steps really do add up over time, don't they?
They absolutely do.
It's so easy to overlook them, though, to just focus on the big goal way off in the distance.
Yeah.
But taking a moment to appreciate those little victories?
Yeah. That's so important for staying motivated and actually feeling more confident along the way.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
let's take just a brief moment now for a little reflection.
Okay.
Just imagine yourself, say, 6 months from now. Picture it. You're speaking English with more ease, more fluidity.
Mm-hmm.
You're actually participating in conversations without that overwhelming sense of dread you might feel now. You might feel proud, accomplished, free. That future you. It's absolutely within reach, isn't it?
Totally.
It really begins with making that conscious choice, the choice to speak, even when that fear is still kind of buzzing around.
Yeah, think of that fear like an uninvited visitor. It might show up at your door.
Yeah.
Right. But you have the power to decide whether or not you let it come inside and, make itself comfortable and stay. You don't have to let it stay.
That's a good way to think about it. Okay, so just to quickly recap those key strategies we talked about.
Yeah, let's do that.
First, cultivate that mindset focused on courage, not perfection.
Right. Bravery over flawless.
Practice speaking even just a little bit every single day. Consistency.
Find those supportive communities where mistakes are okay.
Have those helpful, safe phrases ready to go like a toolkit.
Gradually, gently, engage in those real-world conversations, starting small.
Practice positive self-talk. Be your own cheerleader.
And celebrate every step forward, no matter how small it seems. Acknowledge your progress.
And maybe overarching all of that is just be patient and kind to yourself through this whole journey. It takes time.
It really does. You are on your own unique learning path. There's absolutely no such thing as being behind. You are exactly where you need to be right now. The real question is, perhaps, what's the one small, brave step you'll choose to take next?
That's a good thought to leave people with. So just keep showing up, keep practicing, keep speaking.
Because the more you engage, the more you use the language, the less power that fear will actually hold over you.
And that ultimately unlocks greater freedom, doesn't it? And genuine confidence in your English speaking.
That's the goal. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive today.
Yeah, thank you. And if you found these insights helpful, and maybe you know someone else who's feeling the same fear, please feel free to share this with them.
And we'd genuinely love to hear about your experiences, your journey. You could leave a review or maybe reach out and connect with us on your Instagram website. Let us know how you're getting on.
Absolutely. Keep speaking and never stop learning. You absolutely have what it takes. You've got this.